Hi peeps, my name's Mark and today's job is right behind me. So if you're looking to take out a window and add some doors, this may be of interest to you. So I've got two doorways to put doors in. So I've got this one and then I've got another one. So I'm putting in a couple of glass doors. I'm building a frame, but I've got a bit of an issue. There's limitations to what you can do, or you can just go with it. So there's a timber plate above this concrete reinforced lintel that holds the floor above up. So I didn't really want to disturb it too much. I didn't want to go to the extent of cutting it out, so I'm going with it. There's not a lot of height there for a standard door, so you could have gone for the option of getting them made to measure, which is quite expensive these days, or you could do it my way. When I come up with another idea that these walls are not straight and I'm lining them and insulating them, and this is why I've got the DPC sort of damp-proof membrane against the wall to stop any damp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a stud wall inside that's straight, and then I'm going to put my door frame on the new lining, and then keep the doors at standard but have like a bit of a false sort of head. This is what I'm doing today, so it's a bit of a tricky one, but it might interest anyone that's doing this kind of stuff. It'll kind of give you some idea. I'm not saying this is the right way, but this is my way and the only way that will probably get over a problem. Anyway, so keep watching. Stud wall, I'm building my own lining, so it's all kind of purpose made. I've got two standard doors and I've got what they call a pair maker. So I've got this extra bit that I'll show you that I'm adding to the doors to make it into a French doors, and then I'll hinge it. So Parliament hinges are like a standard hinge, but they're elongated. So what happens is when the door swings open, you can swing them back on themselves. And then if you want to entertain, this is kind of the thing. So keep watching. I'm going to crack on. I'm going to start working out how I'm going to put this frame in. And then I'm going to make the door lining, and then I'm going to hang the doors. Right, door frames, or internal door frames as they're called, door linings. So basically these are generally softwood timber door linings that frame the door, and obviously something to hang it onto. So you can make them any thickness and you can buy door frames, but if you want to save a bit of money, you can make some door frames up yourself, especially when you're doing an unusual opening. So of course I'm saving myself some money and making my own door frame. So I'm using it's like 35 to 32 mil thick door frames, quite chunky ones. So you know, I want a good thickness because these doors are quite heavy because they're glass. And obviously depending on your frame or your thickness of your wall, these are about 6 inches wide or 150 mil. I mean, some people do it differently. I was taught inches and millimeters, but there you go. So you've built your frame or your stud work, and now you need to put a lining in. You get the timber, and then all you need to do, it's a simple joint. I mean, I would advise, if you can and you've got the skill, is to what they call haunch it out or rebate it out. I mean, people call them different, and if you're in America, they call it a rabbit. But yeah, hey, I won't say too much about that. But anyway, so all basically it is you take a small section out from the end of each end of your frame, cut out as you can see here, and it's not very deep, it's about 10 mil or quarter of an inch. It just gives you that more strength and that more professional look, you know, to seat it. And what it does is when you cut this out, it stops the frame from moving, because if you just screwed to a flat board, then there's potential for the frame to twist and move. So this kind of really helps make it more secure. So as you can see, I've cut out each end, and what that happens is, I'll show you, is this is obviously your header. The legs, the stiles, they go sit into that socket and then they don't move or twist. So basically it's a simple joint, fix them together. I tend to use glue and screws from the top, just big 3-4 inch screws, just ram them down and then you're good to go. I mean, you can square it up and you can put some support battening on it to square it and hold it in place, especially if you're on your own to fix it in. But I tend to just leave it loose, because then you can adjust it and all of that. But you know, you go with whatever you feel once you're leveling it in. But I'll quickly screw this together and then I'll show you installing it into my opening, and then how I pack out the sides, because you always should leave a bit of room for packing, and now we use spray foam for packing, which is, you know, really good, especially when you've got rough brickwork. But this is probably a little bit different, but just for demonstration purposes, I'll show you how, you know, you can do it to get over a problem if your walls are a bit wonky. But anyway, I'm going to screw this frame together and I'm going to get it up. Right, as you can see, when you're installing your door frame, as I explained before about using packers, so you can use sort of different versions, and this is the foam version. So what I've done here with my frame is I've screwed it in temporary, so the screws are still sticking out. They've basically just held it in place, and then last night I used my spray foam, squeezed it in the joints, made a bit of a mess, but I've got a bit of a problem with my spray gun, so that's another story. Anyway, best thing to do when it gets a bit crazy, this foam, is just let it dry and then you can just pick it off later. So all I need to do now is cut it back, and yeah, just cut it back, break it off, and as you can see, frame's solid, so it fills the voids behind. And then all you need to do now is loosen off your screws and just tighten them up. And that's it. Frame's solid. So next thing to do is hang the doors, which I'm going to show you these Parliament hinges that I've got. I'm just going to explain to you how these work later on if you've never used these before. They've been around for a long time, but they're a simple version on tucking your doors away. You know, people are doing what they call pocket doors now, but this is what they used to do before they had the sliding doors. But I'll show you that later. I'm going to crack on and get the other frame in. Right, we're back to fitting our doors finally. There was a bit of my video that I wanted to explain how I packed out my door frame, so I left a bit of a gap all round, but the video got a bit corrupted, so I'll just explain quickly how I used it. So I done a combination of the old-fashioned, I used packers. So I used blocks of wood, and this is bits of ply. You can use bits of hardboard, and then I used the modern version, So you get these packers. These are for double glazers, window installers. They use these coloured packers, so you get different colours for different thicknesses. So like, you know, black there, that's 9mm, 8mm for different colours. You know, it sort of goes down right down to sort of 1mm, real super thin. And also using packers is a good way of securing the frame, but also, as I explained, I use spray foam. So spray foam is a really excellent modern version of how to pack out a door frame. So you basically put your frame in loosely, squirt the old foam in, let it dry overnight, and then tomorrow you come back and, you know, it's as solid as a rock. But I kind of use a combination of all of them, which again, that's from back in the day. We used to only use these, and then I like the foam, so I'd use a mixture. Anyway, so you've got your frame in. Now it's time to fit your doors. So as I was explaining, these doors are quite slightly different. So I'm using what they call Parliament hinges. So here they are. This is a Parliament hinge. I mean, it looks almost like a butterfly, and I'm sure somebody will probably say it's a butterfly hinge, but these are called Parliament hinges. So I'm using a pair of these. These are quite big for internal doors. See, 4-inch, you would normally use 3-inch doors, butt hinges for internal doors. You would probably put 3 along there, but these are quite big. They don't seem to do smaller versions, or I couldn't find any, so I think a pair of these Parliament hinges would be fine on these doors. So what Parliament hinges are, as I explained, these are kind of elongated, so they're kind of longer, and that's why they've got that funny shape. So what happens is, it kind of, when the door opens, it pushes the door open wider and leaves a kind of gap, so you can fold the door back on itself, because normal hinges will just stop where the architrave is or the skirting, and then it will bind up, where these kind of kick the door out a bit further. So I'm whacking these on, and hopefully that should work. So it'll fold itself back, so then you can have the doors folded back, and then you can have it like a free-flowing open area. So that's your hinges. So I've basically sat my door. So if you're installing the door, offer it into your frame. So I've installed it. Generally, if you're thinking about installing internal doors, normally it's about 2 to 3 mil, and I know that's quite tight tolerances, but that's normally generally the kind of the gap that you would leave all round. So if you're installing, get some packers and put up there. So I've got 2 mil of packers up the top, and then the hinges will kind of allow the gap down the sides. So basically you mark out your door when your door's in the frame. This is the best way to do it. Probably somebody's going to say differently, but this is the way, again, I do it. So mark out, so generally it's about 6 inches from the top. So put a pencil mark across the 2. So generally, and then that's one door, and then I generally do 9 inches up. So, and then again, I would put some in the middle, but not on this case. Right, I'm going to crack on, and I'm going to show you how I chop out my hinges the old-fashioned way. You've fitted your door frames, and now you need to hang your doors. Right, I'm going to pick one of these doors, and I'm going to show you the problem you got. So you need to work on your door. It's going to flop around, it's a bit difficult, you can prop it up against the wall, and also, depending on the floor, it could damage it. So, my solution, which I've always used, is you get a couple of blocks of wood. Right, these are 4x2s, and I've cut a couple of notches out. One side of the notch is straight, the other side's got a slight angle. So what you do is, you place these under your door, with the straight edge up against the door, and then you get your wedge. You get a big fat wedge, as you can see, and you place her in the other side. And then you just tap her up until she's nice and tight. Get your other one for the back end. Again, place her under the door with the straight cut, touching the back side of the door. Get your wedge, place her in, and tap her up until she's tight, and there you go. Solid door, easy to work on, you know, if you're chiseling, if you're mortising out, you know, if you're using a router, you can do it, your hands are free. You ain't got to worry about holding the door. Now I know you could probably buy jigs out there, but this is a free, cheap bit of wood, you know, a bit of scrap wood that, you know, that you got lying around, and you can keep using it. So once you're finished, all you do is you tap your wedge out and lift your door out. Simple. You know, you reuse them, they will last a lifetime. I use these all the time. I mean, I'm from a different generation, so we had to find solutions to problems. So, top tip for all you DIYs and even you professionals out there that, you know, want some way of holding it. Keeps the door off the floor so that bottom edge doesn't get damaged, and keeps your hands free, which is always a plus. Right.
Sometimes like all you want to do is run. Hear me out, hear me out. It's all the things you never show. There are the things I want to know. Secrets
Right, I'm going to show you what a pear maker is. So, comes like this, and these are not cheap. He's saying that per door. I mean, I've seen them up to 50 quid. So basically, that's what it looks like down the endways, and this slides over the top of the door. So this is what they call a pear maker. So you've got two standard doors, and you want to make them into a pair, because normally doors like this, you'll buy French doors, along the edge, one of them will be rebated. I'm not saying one of them, two of them will be rebated. So basically they overlap each other, but this does the other bit. So this goes over that. Place it over the edge, it should fit nice and snug. Tap her in. One pair of doors. That's your pair maker. Now I've got to put the handles on. Right, so you've got your doors fitted. And now you need to add the doorstop. So it's pretty simple. This is your standard doorstop. You know, it doesn't need to be very thick. I don't know what size it is. Let me check. So let's have a look. So this doorstop is about 35mm by about 13-14mm thick. So it doesn't need to be too heavy duty. So shut your doors up. I mean, the only other reason that you need thicker doorstop is if it's for fire doors. And then you need to glue it and screw it every 6 inches, or what the recommendation is. So the way I fit my doorstop is the door's in, get your first one, nail at the top, and then get yourself some packers. Because don't forget, these doors are going to be painted, so you don't want them binding up, and binding up means they kind of touch each other and rub. So get yourself packers, slide it down the back, push it up, and then nail her in. And there you go, you just do that all the way down, simple. And there you go, there's your doorstop. Like I say, leave a bit of a gap because of, you know, when you're putting a couple of layers of paint on, you don't want the door sticking and all of that business. And also, it can kind of give you a bit of manoeuvrability to adjust the door if you need to make any slight adjustments later on. So, yeah, don't go too crazy and push them straight up against the door because, you know, it's gonna bind. And this is a natural product, so it's gonna expand. So, yeah, doorstop on. Now I'm going to go fit the door handles and I'll show you how I fit a latch. Right, that's my next job. Right, so the door's all fitted and now it's time to put the door handles and fit your latches. These are just simple, basic door handles. I mean, I'm not a big fan of these round ones, but these are not too bad because, if I can get it off the cover plate, these have bolts that go through and they bolt together. If you can get these kinds, they're a lot better because what happens is over time with these rounded ones is they tend to move. So you imagine that constant pulling down. If these are just screwed, over time they will start to move and then you've got to start fixing them and putting bigger screws in. Whereas these, they've obviously thought about this, so these bolts go all the way through and you bolt the two handles together, and also it's got like a little grub screw to stop the bar in the middle from moving. So they're pretty good, these ones, so I'm not too bad, but I was never always a fan in the olden day ones, but they've got better. Latches, these are just a basic standard latch. Don't get them too small because you've got to get these into the middle of the door. So this is your standard British latch. I can get it open. So these are a bit different than America. America like to do all things all bigger and better, don't they? As always. Ours are quite delicate. So there's your standard latch. So it's just it doesn't lock, obviously. there's your keep plate, and there's your main body of your latch. So I'm going to install this. So basically, just to show you how they work, if you've never seen them before, you don't really understand. This is your bolt that goes through. So that goes through the handle, and then obviously that helps both latches turn. And what helps them spring back is they've got little springs in the back of them. And then on this one you have little cover plates to screw on afterwards. But we're not worried about that. So this is your basic latch. I'll get my other handle out just to show you. I mean, I've got to fit it anyway. I like putting them in bags in these ones. God. Right, so let's unscrew this cover plate. I mean, it's a really nice touch, the cover plate, so you know, so it covers up the screws. I mean, these weren't too bad. These were, I think they come free with this door, so I just went with it. Right, latch. So latch goes through there. He says, it's a bit tight, this one. And I don't know why, because it's new. There you go. So that's, you imagine, that's your setup inside your door. So that's what you're getting inside your door. So when you pull the handle down, it pulls in the latch. So really, you've only got two sort of holes to drill through. But like I said, with these ones, they're pretty good, because what these latch allows for, if you see the holes in either side, they allow a bolt to go right through the door, which I really like, because then that will stop that movement over the time. Anyway, so I'm going to fit this, and I'll show you how I mark it out and install it. I mean, right peeps, final stages to fit in your French doors are to put in your flush bolts. So basically, so on the left side it's going to be more fixed, even though you can open it if you want more space. But it's always good to have this sort of fixed in place. So I'm going to fit these. So I've got one on the bottom, one on the top.